Late night. A gas station. Two cars stop at the same pump. One driver thinks the other cut in line. Nothing serious. Just words at first. A look. A comment. A small laugh meant to humiliate. That's when it happens. 1 second. One decision. One look that says asterisk, I'm not backing down. Asterisk. The ego steps in. Voices get louder. Phones come out. People start watching. One man takes a step forward. The other mirrors it. No one wants to look weak. No one wants to walk away. A shove. Then another. And suddenly fists fly. It doesn't look dramatic. It doesn't look deadly. It looks like a normal fight, the kind people see every day online. But the ground is concrete. Not mats. Not a ring. One punch lands. The other man falls. His head hits the curb. Silence. The crowd freezes. Someone screams. Sirens in the distance. The man still standing doesn't feel like a winner. He feels confused, shaking. Minutes later, police lights flood the gas station. By morning, one man is dead. The other is charged with manslaughter. No criminal history. No intention to kill. Just 1 second of ego. His job is gone. His freedom is gone. His future is gone. And the most brutal part? It all started over nothing. No money. No threat. No real danger. Just pride. Street fights don't begin with violence. They begin with ego. The need to prove something. To strangers. To witnesses. To yourself. People don't lose their lives because they can't fight. They lose their lives because they refuse to walk away. 1 second of ego can destroy everything you spent decades building. And the worst part, it didn't need to happen. Because the most dangerous moment in any street confrontation isn't the punch. It's the moment right before it. And this is where ego silently takes control. Street violence doesn't explode out of nowhere. It builds quietly inside the mind. Most people believe street fights happen because someone is violent, drunk, or out of control. That's only part of the truth. What really drives most street confrontations is something much more subtle and much more dangerous. Ego. The need to protect an image. The need to not look weak. The need to feel respected. This instinct is deeply human. Your brain is wired to protect social status because, thousands of years ago, losing status meant losing safety. But the modern street is not a tribe, and those instincts are outdated and lethal. On the street, your ego doesn't protect you. It exposes you. In a gym, ego is controlled. In competition, ego has rules. In the street, ego runs free. There is no referee, no bell, no reset. Once ego takes over, logic shuts down. The brain stops calculating consequences and starts chasing validation. You're no longer asking, is this safe? You're asking, how do I look if I walk away? That's the trap. People don't escalate because they want to fight. They escalate because they don't want to lose face. A stare lasts a little too long. A comment lands harder than it should. Someone laughs. Someone records. And suddenly the pressure to respond feels unbearable. This is why smart people do stupid things on the street. Doctors, engineers, fathers, professionals. People who would never risk their careers in a calm environment suddenly gamble everything because their ego feels threatened. And here's what makes it worse. Street situations feel small in the moment. They feel manageable. You tell yourself, it's nothing. I'll just say one thing. I'll just stand my ground. But every second you stay engaged, your options shrink. Distance disappears. Exits close. Witnesses gather. Your nervous system is already flooding your body with adrenaline. Your heart rate spikes. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your vision narrows. You're not thinking clearly anymore, you're reacting. And ego loves this state. Because ego doesn't care about tomorrow. It only cares about right now. It doesn't care about prison. It doesn't care about lawsuits. It doesn't care about your family waiting at home. It only cares about not backing down. This is why training alone doesn't save people. You can be skilled, athletic, experienced, and still lose everything if you don't control the moment ego enters the equation. And this is why trained people often make the same mistake as untrained people. They trust their ability. They trust their confidence. They trust that they can handle it. But the street doesn't test skill first. It tests judgment. And the moment judgment is replaced by pride, the outcome is already decided. Because ego doesn't just push you forward. It blinds you. It makes you miss the friend standing behind your opponent. It makes you ignore the hard ground beneath your feet. It makes you forget that every action has consequences long after the adrenaline fades. This is the moment where most situations could still end safely. And this is also the moment where most people fail. Because they don't recognize the warning signs. They don't feel the shift. They don't notice when ego quietly takes the wheel. And that's why the next mistake is even more dangerous. Because once ego locks you in, it doesn't let you leave easily. And this is why trained people make the same fatal decision as everyone else. There is a specific moment in every street confrontation where everything can still end safely. It's not the punch. It's not the shove. It's not even the raised voice. It's the instant where you feel the urge to prove something. That internal pressure that says, asterisk, if I walk away now, I lose. Asterisk. That's the most dangerous second of all. Because nothing has really happened yet. No real threat. No weapon. No unavoidable danger. Just a choice. Step back, or stand your ground. This is where ego disguises itself as courage. People tell themselves they're being strong. They say they're not afraid. They convince themselves they're defending their dignity. But what's really happening is much simpler. They don't want to feel small. And ego hates retreat. Your brain interprets backing down as humiliation, even when it's the smartest move available. So instead of disengaging, you stay. You answer back. You step closer. You lock eyes. That's the second where the door quietly closes behind you. Because once you commit emotionally, walking away feels impossible. Your pride is now involved. And pride doesn't negotiate. At this stage, you're no longer reacting to the situation in front of you. You're reacting to how you think you look, to the invisible audience, to the imagined judgment of strangers. And the street is merciless to people who fight imaginary battles. What makes this mistake so deadly is how small it feels in the moment. It doesn't feel like a big decision. It feels like nothing. Just a look. Just a word. Just one step forward. But that single step changes everything. Distance disappears. Voices rise. Body language hardens. Your opponent mirrors you. Not because they want to fight, but because their ego is now under threat too. Two nervous systems feeding off each other. Two egos competing for dominance. At this point, the situation no longer belongs to either of you. It belongs to momentum. And momentum doesn't care about intentions. People love to say, I didn't mean for it to go that far. And they're usually telling the truth. Most people never intend to seriously hurt anyone. But intent becomes irrelevant once ego has escalated the encounter. Because now, neither person wants to be the one who backs down first. This is how preventable situations become unavoidable. This is why so many street fights look identical in video footage. The same staring, the same chest puffing, the same slow circling, the same pause before everything explodes. Everyone watching can see where it's going. Everyone except the people inside it. And here's the brutal truth most people never accept. You don't rise to your level of confidence in moments like this. You fall to the level of your emotional control. And ego destroys emotional control. Once ego takes over, you stop thinking about exits. You stop scanning the environment. You stop noticing hands, pockets, movement around you. Your entire focus narrows to one thing, not losing face. This is why the most dangerous street fighters are not the angriest ones. They're the ones who refuse to disengage. They're the ones who could have walked away, but didn't. And once this line is crossed, the situation starts to escalate on its own. Because ego doesn't just keep you there, it pulls you deeper. And this is where the next mistake begins. At this point, the situation has already changed, even if nobody realizes it yet. What started as words is no longer just words. The energy has shifted. The tone is different. The body language is louder than the voices. This is what people miss. They think escalation is sudden. It isn't. Escalation is quiet, invisible, and it happens through small, almost meaningless actions. A step closer, a finger pointed at the chest, a sarcastic smile, a phone raised to record. Each of these moments feels harmless on its own, but together they lock both people into a path that's hard to escape. Because now, backing down doesn't just feel embarrassing, it feels impossible. Once the confrontation becomes physical, even slightly, the rules change completely. A shove is no longer a warning, it's a trigger. And from that point on, your nervous system treats the situation as a real threat. Adrenaline floods your body. Your heart rate spikes. Your vision narrows. You're no longer calm. You're primed. And when two people reach this state at the same time, things escalate fast. What most people don't understand is that violence rarely begins with a punch. It begins with proximity, with bodies entering each other's space, with tension replacing conversation. That's why the shove is so dangerous. A shove feels non-lethal, almost playful. But in reality, it's often the point of no return. Because the moment hands touch, pride demands retaliation. Nobody wants to be the person who got pushed and did nothing. So the other person pushes back, harder. Now it's no longer about the argument, it's about dominance. And once dominance becomes the goal, safety disappears. This is where people stop noticing what's happening around them. They don't see who's standing nearby. They don't hear cars passing. They don't notice the hard ground beneath their feet. They don't see the friend of the other guy stepping closer. They don't notice a bottle on the ground. They don't realize how close they are to a curb, a staircase, or traffic. Everything narrows to the person in front of them. This is tunnel vision, and it's lethal. Before we go any further, take a second and comment the city you're watching from. I want to know where people are dealing with these situations every single day, because this mistake happens everywhere, not just in dangerous neighborhoods or bad areas. Now here's the part most people never think about. Once escalation reaches this stage, there is no clean exit, no pause, no moment where someone suddenly regains clarity and calmly walks away. From here on, anything that happens will be fast, chaotic, and irreversible. This is why witnesses often say, "It happened so quickly," because from this point forward, it always does. A punch lands unexpectedly. Someone slips. Someone falls. And the ground doesn't forgive mistakes. People assume the danger is the other person. But at this stage, the real danger is momentum. Momentum pushes people into actions they never planned to take. Harder strikes, continued aggression, failure to stop when they should. And once someone goes down, the situation becomes even more unpredictable. This is where many people believe the fight is over. It isn't. This is where the environment starts to punish ego in ways no one anticipates. And this is where even the winner often loses everything. This is the part nobody trains for. Because the street isn't dangerous only because of people. It's dangerous because of everything around them. Concrete doesn't bounce. It doesn't absorb impact. It doesn't forgive mistakes. One slip, one loss of balance, one uncontrolled fall, and a simple confrontation becomes a life-altering injury. People imagine street fights as exchanges of punches. But in reality, most serious injuries don't come from strikes. They come from impact with the environment. Heads hitting curbs, bodies crashing into parked cars, skulls meeting metal poles, necks twisting on uneven ground. The environment multiplies damage. And ego makes people ignore it completely. When pride takes control, people stop protecting themselves. They stop thinking about footing. They stop noticing what's beneath them. They stop calculating risk. They're focused on winning an argument that stopped mattering minutes ago. And the street waits. Another thing people miss is how many threats exist beyond the person in front of them. The moment a confrontation becomes physical, it attracts attention. Friends, bystanders, strangers looking for excitement. Someone always moves closer. Sometimes it's to help. Sometimes it's to record. Sometimes it's to join in. And you never know which one it is until it's too late. That friend you didn't notice? He's now behind you. That bystander holding a bottle? Now it's a weapon. That open space you thought you had? Gone. Ego narrows your vision to a single target. But the street is never one-on-one. It's angles, blind spots, and chaos. Even people who are physically winning lose awareness. They drop their hands. They turn their backs. They celebrate too early. And that's when things go wrong. A kick from the side. A strike from behind. A shove that sends you stumbling into traffic. The environment doesn't care who started it. It doesn't care who's right. It doesn't care who's trained. It reacts to physics. And physics always wins. Then there are cameras, phones, security systems, dash cams. Every movement is being recorded, often from angles you don't see. Ego makes people forget this too. They act like no one is watching, even when dozens of lenses are pointed directly at them. What feels like a personal confrontation becomes permanent evidence. And later, when adrenaline fades and reality hits, those recordings don't show intentions. They show actions. They show timing. They show escalation. They show who didn't walk away. This is where many people realize, far too late, that the environment was never neutral. It was always waiting to punish bad decisions. And once the damage is done, once someone is hurt, unconscious, or worse, the consequences move beyond the street. Because now, ego doesn't just meet concrete, it meets the law. This is the moment when the street fight ends. And the real fight begins. Police lights, questions, handcuffs. What felt like a few chaotic seconds now stretches into hours, days, months, sometimes years. People think legal consequences only apply if you lose control or go too far. That's not how it works. The law doesn't judge what you felt. It judges what happened. One punch, one fall, one head hitting concrete. And suddenly, words like self-defense don't sound as protective as people imagined. Because investigators don't hear adrenaline. They hear timelines. They see footage. They read medical reports. What you remember as chaos becomes slow-motion evidence. Charges don't always come immediately. Sometimes they arrive weeks later, quietly in the mail. A court date, a lawyer's number, a sinking feeling that doesn't go away. Even if you're not arrested that night, the process has already started. And even if the law decides you were justified, the damage doesn't disappear. Legal fees pile up. Work becomes complicated. Your name is attached to an incident you can't erase. Employers ask questions. Families worry. Friends look at you differently. And then there's the part nobody talks about, the psychological aftermath. People assume trauma belongs to victims. But many people who survive street violence carry it too, even the ones who won. Flashbacks, sleep problems, irritability, hypervigilance. Your nervous system doesn't reset just because the fight is over. It stays on edge, waiting for the next threat that may never come. Some people replay the moment endlessly, asking themselves what they could have done differently. Others suppress it, pretending it didn't affect them. Neither approach truly works. And if someone was seriously injured or killed, the weight is heavier. Even if it was an accident. Even if you didn't mean it. Even if the law clears you. You still live with it. This is why the idea of a winner in street violence is a lie. Someone goes to the hospital. Someone goes to court. Sometimes both. Lives don't improve after moments like this. They fracture. All of it traced back to a single second where ego made a decision for you. This is the cost people never calculate when they refuse to walk away. They focus on the immediate moment and ignore the long shadow it casts over everything that comes after. And this is why the most important skill in self-defense isn't a punch, a throw, or a technique. It's judgment. Because once consequences enter the picture, there is no undo button. And this is why the real goal was never to win. Real self-defense begins long before anything turns physical. It begins with a decision most people never train. The decision to let go of ego. Survival doesn't look heroic. It doesn't look impressive. And it doesn't feel good to the ego. Survival looks boring. It looks quiet. It looks like walking away while everyone else watches. And that's exactly why it's so hard. Your ego wants validation. Your ego wants respect. Your ego wants the last word. But survival doesn't need any of that. Survival only needs one thing: distance. Distance from the threat. Distance from the situation. Distance from irreversible consequences. The moment you shift your goal from winning to going home, everything changes. You stop reacting emotionally. You start scanning for exits. You notice who's around you. You recognize when something isn't worth the risk. This is the mindset professionals develop. Police officers, security professionals, people who've seen real violence. They don't look for dominance. They look for disengagement. They don't argue. They don't posture. They don't need to prove anything. They recognize the trigger early, that internal flare of pride, and they shut it down before it controls their actions. This doesn't mean fear. It means discipline. It means understanding that strength isn't shown in confrontation. It's shown in restraint. Because every confrontation avoided is a future protected. Mental training matters here, just as much as physical training. You need to rehearse walking away. You need to normalize de-escalation. You need to accept that people may misjudge you, and be okay with that. Because the opinions of strangers fade quickly. Legal records do not. This mindset also means understanding that not every situation is about you. Someone yelling might be intoxicated. Someone insulting you might be projecting their own problems. Someone trying to provoke you might be looking for chaos. You don't need to participate. You're not obligated to respond. You're not obligated to correct disrespect. You're not obligated to stand your ground when nothing is being taken from you. Choosing not to engage is not weakness. It's foresight. And when avoidance truly isn't possible, when your safety or someone else's safety is genuinely at risk, this mindset still applies. Your goal is not punishment. It's not dominance. It's not proving superiority. Your goal is to create an opening and leave. That's it. No extra damage. No extended engagement. No unnecessary risk. The most dangerous people on the street are not the strongest or the most trained. They're the ones who let ego decide when to stay. The safest people are the ones who decide early that nothing is worth that price. And this is the lesson most people learn only after it's too late. Everything you've heard so far leads back to one simple truth. Street fights are not decided by strength. They're decided by decisions. And the most dangerous decision is the one made in a single second. The second ego takes control. It starts small. A look, a word, a moment where walking away feels uncomfortable. That's the warning sign. Because once ego enters the situation, logic leaves. You stop thinking about exits. You stop noticing the ground. You stop seeing the people around you. You stop calculating consequences. You tell yourself it's under control. You tell yourself it's nothing. You tell yourself you can handle it. That's how people step into situations they never planned to be in. The escalation doesn't feel dramatic at first, it feels gradual, almost normal, until suddenly it isn't. A shove turns into a punch turns into a fall turns into irreversible damage. Concrete doesn't care about intentions. The environment doesn't care about pride. The law doesn't care about adrenaline. And once consequences appear, they don't disappear. Not when the crowd goes home. Not when the video stops recording. Not when the bruises fade. What remains is the aftermath. Legal problems. Psychological weight. A future permanently altered by a moment that could have been avoided. And the hardest part to accept is this. Most of these situations didn't require courage. They required restraint. They didn't require skill. They required judgment. The people who truly protect themselves are not the ones who fight best. They're the ones who recognize the trigger early and step away before ego locks them in. That single choice to disengage is the difference between a normal night and a life-altering event, between going home and explaining your actions for the rest of your life. And once you see this pattern, you can't unsee it, because now you know where the real danger begins. If there's one thing you should take from this, it's this. Street violence doesn't destroy lives because people are weak. It destroys lives because people hesitate to walk away. The street doesn't reward pride. It doesn't respect confidence. And it doesn't care how capable you think you are. It only reacts to actions. And once those actions cross a certain line, there is no rewind. You don't get to explain intentions to concrete. You don't get to negotiate with momentum. You don't get a second chance with the law. That single second, the moment you choose ego over distance, is the moment everything changes. Real strength is not shown in confrontation. It's shown in restraint. It's shown in recognizing when nothing is being taken from you and choosing to leave anyway. Before you go, I want you to do something. Comment the city you're watching from. I want to see where people are dealing with these situations right now, because this isn't rare and it isn't isolated. It's happening everywhere. And if you've ever witnessed a situation where ego made everything worse, or if you've seen someone's life change because they refused to walk away, share that experience in the comments too. These stories matter, and they help others recognize the warning signs sooner. If this video gave you a perspective you hadn't considered before, leave a like. It helps this message reach people who might need it before they learn the hard way. Subscribe to the channel, because in the next video we're breaking down why most people lose street fights before the first punch is even thrown, and how that loss begins in the mind, not the body. Remember this. In the street, the strongest move is not standing your ground. It's knowing when to walk away. Stay aware, stay disciplined, and above all, stay alive. Until the next video.